y'all, welcome to Back to Basics with Krystal. So today's video, we are going to talk about my top five must-have in my garden this year. So I was inspired from a video I did a few days ago, the top 5 2019 seeds that I'm excited to grow. I had a very hard time choosing my top 5. Do I choose something that is new to me, or do I choose my tried and true? So I decided to break it up into 2 categories. In that video, and I'll link it up above for you, I talked all about the new things that I was excited to grow, things that I've never grown in my garden before. Today's video is going to be about my tried and trues. So this is my 5 tried and trues that I have to have in my garden this year and probably every year. Before I get started on my list, I wanted to just put this out there, that tomatoes didn't exactly make the list this year. It didn't make the list at all. And the reason why is because I don't have a variety of tomatoes that is a tried and true for me. I'm still experimenting with the tomatoes because there are so many out there. So that's why you're not going to see tomatoes on this particular list, even though they're a huge part of my extended pantry and a huge part of the garden. First thing on my list, and let me add, this list is in no particular order of importance or anything like that, but the first thing on my list is going to be potatoes. Now, I love having jars and jars and jars of potatoes in my extended pantry. I can them and I dehydrate them. Potatoes can very well. They make very quick meals, especially if you're busy with after-school projects and football season, baseball and soccer and all those after school, after work activities. Jarred up potatoes make for very easy and quick dinners. I also like to dehydrate them. They rehydrate very well right in the oven or right on the stovetop. So either way, whether you can them or dehydrate them, I do both. Potatoes is a huge thing in our pantry. Last year, because of the chickens, now I did a video, I'll link it up above for you. I planted a bunch of potatoes and the chickens decided to eat a bunch of potatoes. So I didn't have the harvest that I wanted last year. And this year I am completely out of potatoes. So I picked up 20 pounds of the red seed potatoes. The reds seem to do the best in our area. I have planted purples. I've planted whites, but reds work the best for us. Reds like this temperature down here. Now the second thing on my list, and it's probably one of Mama Lai's favorite, is going to be the long yard beans, the Thai long yard beans. Now there's several varieties out there, but we prefer, or I should say Mama Lai prefers, it's the asparagus. They're nice, thin. They stay nice and thin for a very long time on the vine. They get upwards of, I've had some that were 12 inches, and then I've had some that were 24 inches. Not too sure why they call them Ladyong. I've never had one that was 3 foot. I don't know. They get really big, and they are vigorous growers down here. I will grow them once the weather really warms up. Where other beans will start, even though it's a little cooler, long yard beans will not start. They will, they might sprout, in the ground, but they don't really do anything until the weather warms up. So I don't even worry about planting them until it warms up a little bit. But once they start growing, they grow so fast. They have a pretty little purple flower, and then the beans are just beautiful hanging off. Really nice, really delicious. I've canned them up for 2 years in a row now. I've canned them. They're stringless, very delicious, very good. You should try those. Very easy to grow. So the third thing is going to be zucchini. We love zucchini. Now, starting out when my kids were really young, when I first started gardening, nobody liked squash. I was the only one that liked squash. Now, everybody eats squash, and I have to plant lots and lots of it. I find that zucchini, out of all of the squashes, is super versatile. I mean, you eat it fresh, you can eat it cooked or raw. I mean, most people eat it cooked, but you can eat it cooked or raw. It dehydrates very nicely. It dehydrates and rehydrates very nicely. I have canned summer squash, and even though I didn't have any problems with it. And I know there's some mixed things out there about canning squash and how some people say you can and some people say you can't, and the old ball book said you could, but now the new stuff that came out said you can't. I find that when you can it, it's a little mushy. So I started playing with dehydrating it last year, and I really like the results, more so than canning it. Plus it takes up less space. So on top of that, zucchini works really well if you're making mock pineapples or mock apple pie. It works. You can turn the zucchini into something else, which is awesome, because everybody has loads and loads and loads of zucchini, and you all of a sudden, you know, one day you have a little teeny tiny zucchini and the next day you've got this big giant zucchini. So when it comes time to make my mock pineapple and mock apple pie filling, I use the giant zucchinis, and it happens every year. No matter how careful you think you are, you're going to inevitably have giant zucchini because you didn't see the little ones in there. The fourth thing on my list might be kind of a surprise to you guys, and that's going to be leeks. I've been growing leeks for about 4 years now. Yeah, 4 years. I started as a little experiment when I ordered my onion sets. I ordered a set of leeks, and I really liked them. Really great flavor. They, you know, you can keep them in the ground from spring to next spring and just keep harvesting them that way. The heat down here, we have really brutal heat, brutal humidity. Doesn't seem to bother them, at least not the way I grow things with the hay and ground covering. The cold weather doesn't seem to bother them. I like the fact that I can keep them in the ground and just keep harvesting them as I need them. When I plant leek seeds, I just literally broadcast out, and I just grow them that way. And if I grow them a little thick, that's okay. I'll go through and thin them out and use them as I need them. Now, when leeks are very small, I can use the entire thing, the white part and the green tops. As they get bigger, the green tops really do get too tough to eat. You know, you just can't chew them. So what I like to do is I like to clean them up, subpar freeze them, and then put them in bags, and then you can use those in soups. You can use those for your bone broth, for your vegetable broth. Anything that you would use an onion, you could use that. Really great flavor. And I like the fact that I can just leave it in the garden and not worry about it. Where onions, you know, you have to harvest them out and you have to store them right away. Leeks kind of are like, they're kind of like, for me, the lazy gardener. You know, I can just plant them and harvest as I need them. I love that. So last on my list, and you guys probably figured this out, lemongrass. I cannot live without my lemongrass. I love my lemongrass. Now, lemongrass is something that I will sustainably harvest all summer long, all spring long. It doesn't mind our weather. It does not mind having a ground just a little bit wet. It doesn't mind to get dried out. It's a grass. Think of it as a weed in your garden. It's just going to grow and grow and grow, and you can come and you can sustainably harvest, you know, one piece at a time. And in the fall, you would come out and harvest all of it right down to ground level and freeze it or dehydrate it. So it's one of those that I can plant and walk away from it, and it's there for me all summer long. So I really like that. I love the stuff that I can leave in my garden and just sustainably harvest. I love that stuff. Y'all knew I was going to have a bonus, right? So we have a bonus, and it is going to be Rosella. Now, Rosella, this is going to be my second year growing it. I grew it last year, and I didn't really, you know, I mentioned it once or twice. I had no experience with it at all. I feel like I'm a seasoned Rosella grower now, but I really love it. It's a beautiful plant, huge plant. When my husband heard where I wanted to put it, he was like, whoa, you're going to put it right up front? It's going to be like having trees in the front yard. So it's a really big, beautiful plant. The branches are kind of a purple color. The leaves are green, beautiful. Then it has little pale white. I guess they're kind of like a white and yellow flowers. You know, and they only last a couple of days. But just a really beautiful plant. I love the tea. I love the fact that it can be used as a medicine, so to speak. You know, it's in no way to replace going to the doctor, but I love to use food as medicine, and that is one of the things. Rosella tea, and we'll talk about it later on as we move through the season, but it's really good for inflammation and blood pressure, things like that. So it's really good. It's not one of my tried and trues yet, but it's getting there. So I thought I'd throw that out as a bonus, especially if you guys are picking out seeds. Roselle is in the okra family, and anything in the okra family needs a very long grow season. So right last year as I grew it, it was ready to harvest right about about a month before our first frost. So a long grow season. So if you don't have a super long grow season like we do, you know, you might be able to plant it in a big huge pot or bucket and bring it in. I don't know, but it could be one to actually put on your list to grow, because it's really a neat plant. So that is my 5 and bonus. And I hope that if you're a new gardener, this will kind of inspire you and kind of let you put some thought process into what you're going to put in your garden, what your needs are, what your family's needs are. So there's insight to my family's needs. So now it's that magical time where I'm going to challenge 4 different channels to tell us what their 5 garden tried and trues are. The first channel that I'm tagging is going to be the Citystead. The second channel is going to be the Broussard Homestead. Third channel, Family Homestead. And last but not least, Keto Country Homestead. You guys have all been tagged. Now, if you don't know these channels, I'm going to link them in the description box. Go by, check them out. All of them are fantastic channels. You'll absolutely love them. So you guys have been tagged. Let's hear what your 5 tried and trues are. Until we talk again, you guys be blessed. Bye now. Tomatoes are a big... There's 2 of them up there now. And I think Roscoe wants to secretly join them up there.